What's up, everybody? This is going to be very much a departure from normal for me because I tend to talk about the soil and the grass and all this kind of stuff. But with a lot of the questions I get, it seemed like a fairly reasonable concept to put out in video. And I'm gonna make this simple. It's like the 5 things you need to be a lawn care master. So, first of all, there's so much information. There's so many different places you can go. Everybody has their own personal preference, brand loyalty, all of that stuff. This, none of it matters. I could care less what brands you like, what your favorite mower is. That doesn't really make a little bit of difference in the grand scheme of things. So it's all going to come down to just, number 1, how big is your lawn? Okay, that's going to dictate what sort of equipment you really need to have. Okay, so how big is your lawn? Number 2, how much time do you really want to spend out there? Are you somebody who wants to fertilize quarterly and move along? Are you somebody who likes to be out in it and work in it every day? My lawn, this is where we play. This is where my dogs hang out. This is where my kids play. I want to keep it beautiful, let them hang out. It's not a showpiece. It's not a place that sits out in front of my house. My front yard is not a yard. It's basically a forest on a very steep hill. So I'm not trying to show off stripes or anything like that. So here is a functional backyard space is what this is. And all of this is going to come down to function. You need to decide, are you a liquid guy, you granular guy or gal? Sorry, need to keep that open a little bit. And that's it, right? Okay, so let's just break down the few things. If you want to be epic at lawn care, you want to be a lawn care guru, here's the equipment. I'm going to break it down to you by how big is your yard and what you should be looking for, okay? Number 1, first and most important thing, lawn. Okay, yes, true. Even if you're starting from scratch, doesn't matter. But you gotta have a lawn for this to apply, so that's what we're gonna start. That's gonna be number 1. Okay, number 2, irrigation. A lot of non-irrigated lawns out there. That's fine. You don't have to have subsurface irrigation. You don't have to have a sprinkler system, but you do have to be able to water. I don't care where you live. There's going to be a point where you're going to have to supplement. And let's break it down in a very easy fashion. You need to be thinking in the same manner as if you had irrigation in the ground. That means you've got to design it to have head-to-head coverage, and you don't need an expensive sprinkler to make that happen. These guys right here, these orbits, they mimic what they, the sort of bigger Rainbird and orbits that pop up and spray, and they work really well. These are hooked to a hose. Now, in my situation here, my whole property has irrigation. It's got drip systems. It has everything. Now, when I put this lawn in up here, I closed off a box that ran drip systems to some other places up here, knowing that in the future I was going to be tying some lines in. So this is watered via that valve. And I'm going to show you this. So while we're talking about irrigation and how you can be, kind of, what's the word? I can't think of it, and that's okay. Check this out. This is on a valve right here. This is hooked to my sprinkler system. That is a hose fitting right there. This thing can come on a timer, run through the hoses, come out those sprinklers. So it can go on a timer very easily, and it's just running garden hoses, so I can move that around. Now, this will tie into the system. That's actually why, if you look right here, this spot was left blank between the walls so that I can actually take it up into the lawn and move further up this hill as it starts to get set up further. So that's number 2, irrigation, gotta have it. Now, people who are hand watering have a hard time remembering to turn on, shut off, or even know how much water they're getting out. So it's good to know that. But that's the big one. Number 2, you gotta have that. So let's talk about feeding. Fertilizer, super important. Are you a liquid person or a granular person? Doesn't matter. Take your pick. What works for you? What works for your lawn? I have a lawn here. It's 1,500 square feet. It takes me 3 to 4 minutes to spray it with this. Get a hose in sprayer. This is a tool that you should get no matter what. This is one of those tools. Have a hose in sprayer. You like the orthos? Get an ortho. If you don't, let's not get that one. Get a chameleon. You like chameleons? You don't like a chameleon? Get something else. That doesn't really matter, but have one, something that's easy to use, you can hook up and spray, okay? Because there are a lot of things that you're going to be able to spray and really dial in and get nailed. But on a small lawn, super easy. You know, I feed, obviously, Green Punch. This has not had anything in, I think this is the 5th week now, so it's coming up on getting ready to be done. So I'll feed it again. And it runs about 6 weeks is how often I do it. And could I do this with a granular? Sure. Let's talk about that. Do you need a spreader? Yes, have a spreader. Now, it would be silly for me to have a $500 spreader out here. I have nothing against them, but A, I'm not going to use it. B, my lawn's way too small to ever have anything like that. If I was going to spread granular like Carbon X, this is what I would use right here. I'd be putting this out, spread it around. I can walk around the lawn in a couple minutes. This amount in here would hold about exactly what it would take to do the lawn, like 6 pounds. And I could have this place knocked out like that. So get a spreader. You have a small lawn under 2,000 square feet. These are a great option. You're rarely going to put anything out that's going to take more than something this size. If you've got more than 2,000 square feet, get a wheeled spreader. Do you need a big one? Probably not. 20-pound hopper is going to be more than enough to do pretty much anything, including lime applications. So 20-pound holder. If you're going into the 5, 10, 15,000 square feet, you need to start looking at something a little bit beefier, something that can hold some weight, something with bigger tires, something that's easier to push, because you're going to be out there working your butt off. Now that's the same thing if you choose to do liquid. There's a point to which it doesn't make sense to use a hose-in sprayer, where you're going to want to go into like the unicorn sprayer like Paul uses. He's got 20,000 square feet to spray. That's what he uses. So great option. You can go out, you can spray, you can push that around. And there you go with your granular. You just have to look at the size of your lawn based on the total size and expense of the equipment that you're going to get. Because a $40 spreader that's over at Home Depot can move a granular fert. So can a $500 one. So what's your budget? What's the size? So look, simply, even for me, 5,000 square feet or less, I'm gonna spray it. I'm gonna spray. I think it's just the way to go. Once you start moving into bigger lawns, you need to make considerations. Do you want to go to a push spreader or not? So let's talk about mowers. I haven't had a gas mower in more than a decade. At least it's been more than a decade. And I've only had this lawn for 4 years. So, God, man, it's been longer than that. Probably since I sold my house in Salt Lake, which was 2007. It was the last time I had a gas mower. That was about a 5,000 square foot lawn. It only ever got liquids. It was used with a hose and sprayer. And I had a Honda self-propelled that I used. Now, I'm gonna tell you something. I've got this grass cut behind me at 1 inch. It's got really nice cuts, no tears. The grass looks really, really good. I cut it with a $65 mower. Simple, easy. It's actually a little more exercise, so that thing's kind of a pain in the butt to push around, but it cuts even and flat, and I can count on it to do what it's supposed to do. And we're talking about the original design for a lawnmower. There's over 350,000 of those units are sold every year. That's pretty significant. People are buying those like crazy. And, you know, it's because they're simple and it's a small lawn. If I was over 2,500 square feet, I'm probably gonna start looking at a gas mower again. Do I care what brand it is? Absolutely not. You just need to have something with sharp blades that you can be consistently cutting. Manicuring a lawn and keeping it cut and mowed is going to solve so many of the problems, including weeds and sedges and other grasses. If you can keep and cut low and expose those, they have a harder time thriving, and your lawn will start to adapt to its mow height and really do well. So I'm keeping my bluegrass right now at 1 inch, and it's doing really well aside from the damn rodents. They're still working it right now, but that's coming. All right, so what have we covered off? You need a hose and sprayer. You need a spreader. You gotta have a mower. Who cares what any of those things are? Budget, size of lawn. It's the last thing. At some point, you're gonna have to do some weed control. Now, you can buy stuff that already has your broadleaf controls in it, in your fertilizer. You can do that. That's all well and good, you know, and it works okay. But for me, get a hand can, right? Or a backpack, a pump backpack, a battery backpack. I don't care, pick one. But if you're going to be doing that, you never want to cross-contaminate. And I think that that's where a lot of people end up messing up with their backpack or hand cans or whatever, is one day they're out here spot treating in the lawn and spraying some weeds. The next day they go mix up a little Roundup and they go spray the driveway, and then they come back out, you know, in another week and spray the lawn again, and the residual in there can harm the lawn. So if you're gonna do it, you're probably gonna have to have 2 or even 3. I mean, I would separate my fungicides. Broadleaf would have its own, and you know, anything that's going to be ground clearing, non-selective, has to have its own can. Just do it that way. But what do you want? Do you want to pump it up and go spray? Do you have a small enough lawn to do that? Are you taking care of an acre? You might want a battery, because you're gonna have one arm that's super, super strong from pumping that thing up and down and up and down. But this is just the basics. This is what you need to have on hand. And it can be done on any budget. Now, the things that I talked about here, you're gonna spend 10 bucks on a hose and sprayer. I've got a $65,000 piece of equipment sitting down at a yard that puts out liquid fert and chemical, and it does it at a certain gallon per minute rate, and I know what goes into it and I know what comes out of it. Well, I'll tell you what, that $10 thing back there, I know what goes into it, I know what comes out of it, I spray it, I know that I'm going to get the same thing. So right there, just from that aspect, you've got something that is easy to use right here, very inexpensive, or something that's actually designed to make you money, which was that rig that I've got set up, and you know, here's a picture of that. So these are the basics. Take your picks, but make sure you've got a spreader, a sprayer of some type. If it's going to be a hose end sprayer, if it's going to be a backpack, whatever it is, multiple backpacks for your chemicals, a mower with sharp blades, and irrigation. Okay? These are what we're looking for. If you have those pieces of equipment, you can pretty much handle whatever else is going to be thrown at you. Now, this is just sort of the basic coverage. If you really want to get into learning, diving deep, and moving into what's happening into the soil, you know, what is causing diseases or this or that, books. Books. There is a lot of really smart guys on YouTube that can walk you through chemicals. Matt is absolutely impressive on Grass Factor. You can get on hit, just listen to that. It's mind-boggling what that guy can pull up. You've got Allyn, who can take you through, just look, here's how we start, and this is what we go through on the steps, and he's going to show you tips and tricks all along the way. Ryan, who's been on this just adventure of sort of learning lawn care and sharing his adventures, basically. I mean, just like good information, good product reviews. Jake, same thing. You know, he is so smart, and he's studying and learning all of this stuff. Pete, who just has some of the coolest equipment, and that guy is smart as a whip. These are people that you can lean into and just get tons and tons of information out there, and books. I don't know how many times I've seen people go online and try to find and identify a weed, and but you can't do it. It's so challenging to be able to identify what you've got, what you're looking at, and compare it to something else out there. There's a great book, Weeds of North America, Weed Identification Guide. That thing is incredible. It is this thick, and you can roll right through that and identify stuff, break it down by broadleaf, by grass type, by everything, and actually walk out into your lawn, figure out what you need so you can dial in what sort of weed control that you're going to get. Okay? So there you go. Have those things on hand. Mower with sharp blades. Be able to water. Get a couple hand cans or backpacks. Battery pump, doesn't really make a difference. Hose and sprayer. Spreader. Bang. And as long as you have the lawn, the rest of it's going to come pretty easy. So I'm going to throw some just links to basic stuff in there. They're not sales links. They're not affiliate links. It's just stuff to look at when you're making these decisions about going forward. But I can tell you, for me, coming from the professional side and the product development side and bringing products to market and basically doing all aspects of this business, from landscaping to mowing to whatever, okay? I have always found that a return to the roots in the simplest way, the path of least resistance, will always net you the best result. So there you go. Just want to throw that out there. This is not your Fert Dance Friday episode, but it's just something that I thought was really important for people to consider who are about to get into the lawn game. So that's it. I'll talk to you guys real soon.